Anti-Semitic to say you are way, way too super cute to be Jewish. Your nose is perfect for your face. All misspelled. Short answer, yes. Longer answer is for my fellow pale ladies, because we know trolls are pointless and maybe not even a real person, but white women, we need to have a conversation about when men tell us that they prefer us over another racial group. I've been thinking about making this video for a while, but I haven't, because I know it is not my place as a white woman to get in between the dynamics of people of color or people of different ethnicities relationships. So I want to be very clear. I'm talking to my fellow unmelanated queens. There came a point in my 20s where I realized it was not just a one-off situation of if I dated a man who was not white, and this is not at a specific group of people either, there would often come a moment early where they would tell me they had a preference for white women. And I learned that was always a red flag. And I learned to tell those men, you do not have to put me on a pedestal against other women to make me feel better about myself or give me a compliment, and then I would leave. And I strongly suggest you do the same. Because in a patriarchy, there is no good way moving forward of him to be pitting you against another woman or group of women, especially a whole group, my God. You'll always be better off choosing solidarity with your sisters of different shades than in a man who is either struggling with the guilt of dating outside of his culture, which that is none of my business to comment on, or who very likely has his own internalized white supremacy that he is projecting on you, and you do not want to fuel that. Since again, this is the white ladies, what I will say is, if this feels like a compliment to you, you have your own internalized white supremacy you need to unpack. And patriarchy, because it's patriarchy to pit women against each other, but this is also white supremacy at play. And you likely have a deep insecurity or some problematic beliefs internally that you need to work out, that you need to learn more about, that you need to identify in yourself and take the steps to undo. And you certainly need to do that before engaging in more intimate relationships or any relationships with people of color, and certainly before you mother any interracial children. Because it's not okay to have these beliefs. And I just say that in a way that they still need to be recognized and worked on, because I know that since we know it's not okay on a certain level, we deny that we have them, and that doesn't make any progress moving forward. If you call yourself a girl's girl, you call yourself caring about fairness or whatever, if you take being pitted against other women as a compliment, you are incredibly insecure, and it's harmful. So let me just make sure I put my response here. Yes, it is anti-Semitic. Off you go. Not only harmful, it's incredibly stupid. It's not everyone, but it's too common. It's I was like, wow, this is a lot. You got to weed through this to find someone who's not. And especially if you're on dating apps, I swear it's some of these people are on there looking for a certain type of woman. You don't know their settings. You don't know their settings or what they're searching for, but it's just weird. And I am absolutely not saying it's the same as the fetishization that Latinas, the black women, the Asian women get. I do think in a lot of cases, not all, it is a projection of the power they see white men as having that they want, and we have always been a symbol of white men's power, and if they can keep a wife at home and their eye candy, etc. That's not going to go well for either of you involved in that interaction. I won't even call it a relationship. I'm not saying don't date men of color. I'm not saying don't date outside of your race or culture. I think that can be a totally beautiful thing. I am saying it's when somebody puts you on a pedestal as compared to others, always a red flag. Again, it's not everyone. So my partner and I were just in China. We went to a banquet that in Chengdu, China, which was so cool, and it were dance performances, and everything was from a different dynasty in China, and the food matched the dynasty and all these things. And there was one where obviously all the performers are East Asian, I'm assuming Chinese. All of the women were in orange, bright orange, and I was so taken aback that I leaned over to my partner and I whispered, I was like, hey, you know how black women absolutely look stunning in yellow? And he whispered back, he was like, yeah. I was like, I think we've been sleeping on the East Asian women slay bright orange. And he was like, I know, this stunning. I was like, truly, like, I didn't know orange could look good on paler skin. And he was like, I know, but I think the dark hair really adds a lot. I was like, I know, so much contrast. And like, I hope that doesn't come across as fetishizing. It felt like just being truly in awe. And I looked to try to find photos from that show to like online to like show y'all. Like, I mean, it was just like, they commanded they were so beautiful. Yeah, there were two heterosexual people, heterosexual white American and Albanian people there being like, and that takes nothing away from me. If he were to start a hierarchy, I would walk out. After continuing to worship those queens, of course.